let me talk just very briefly about what you can do, because I think what you can do is very important. Many of you know about Obang Meto and the other groups that have formed this new organization called the Solidarity Movement for a New Ethiopia. I am very much hopeful that this city will become one of the main centers for that organization and for other organizations that bring all Ethiopians together to work together to strategize, to become the strategic keys to overthrowing the Meles Zenawi regime. The best example I know of, in fact, is Ghana. And in a previous rally here, we had Professor Appiah, who was part of that strategic group for Ghana. It was brilliant. Of course, he's a way better speaker than I am anyway. He's an orator. You know, he's got that African ability to speak. My gosh, I wish I had that. But he and a group of his friends organized right here a group of Ghanaians who said, we will not put up with the Rawlings dictatorship anymore in Ghana. And so this is what we are going to demand of the opposition in Ghana. First of all, a unified candidate to oppose the dictator. A unified candidate. So you don't have all the votes, strewn out between all kinds of candidates. We're going to demand an independent electoral commission so that the votes don't get stolen by the current dictator. We are going to demand that the candidates have very, very strict financial accountability, so they can't just steal whatever contributions are given to them. And we're going to demand that the candidates themselves make commitments to very, very specific reforms about when they win power in Ghana. They made all of these demands to the candidates in Ghana. The candidates agreed to them. The people here raised a lot of money to support this movement. And by God, if they didn't beat Jerry Rawlings in the elections. And we had a new president in Ghana. It turned from a dictatorship into a democracy. I believe that is fully possible in Ethiopia. Because ultimately I think the best antidote to genocide is democracy. Democracy allows each people's voice to be heard. And in no functioning democracy where there is universal suffrage that I know of has genocide ever occurred. And the reason is people who have the vote won't let it happen. They just won't let it happen. The places where genocide occurs is where whole groups have been excluded from voting, have been excluded from power, in which there are exclusionary policies that keep them out of power. And that is exactly what's happening right now in Ethiopia. I have one other request of you, because you have many, many contacts in Ethiopia. Keep track of the names. Keep track of the names. We need to keep track and a list of the names of the people who are committing these crimes, who are doing this torture. Many of you may know that in the United States, in one of our few laws of universal jurisdiction, namely the Torture Victims Protection Act, if any of those people come to the United States and somebody who has been tortured by them also happens to be in the United States, they can go and get a U.S. attorney to arrest that person on the spot and get him put on trial in a U.S. court. This is progress. This is finally making a legal vacuum into a place where the rule of law can apply. So keep those names. Take those names. Keep track of those names. We want to know who did these crimes. Now, I'll tell you another reason why, for me, this especially means a lot. Back in 1981, when I was at Yale Law School, I was asked to go and set up a relief program in Cambodia. It was right after the Khmer Rouge, right after a communist regime. It was just as though I had been sent in right after Mengistu. Well, everywhere there were mass graves. Everywhere you had survivors telling you their stories. And I came back and I said, these people need to be brought to justice. This is back in 1981. And so we started the Cambodian Genocide Project. By the way, I couldn't get any of the normal human rights organizations to take it on. They said, oh no, this is too big. No. And besides that, that's the past. I said, are you kidding? That's not the past. They're sitting right up there on the border. They're ready to take control again. I said, we have to get them behind bars somehow. It's taken us 30 years. 30 years. But as you know, and I wrote the rules for that tribunal, and I was the negotiator for the Cambodian government with the UN authorities. We have now a Khmer Rouge tribunal, and the first trial has been finished. The first person has been convicted, and next spring we are going to begin the second trial, and we're going to try the top leaders. So these people may think that they can get away with mass murder, but they're wrong. They're wrong. My hero, Martin Luther King Jr., once said, the moral arm of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. I am convinced, in fact, that what we're working for here is not just justice for Christians. It's justice for Muslims, because the Ogadenis in the Ogadeni region of Ethiopia are also now are victims of genocide. This is a battle for all of the world's people. It is a battle for humanity. And I am convinced that we will win. Do you know why I am so convinced? I believe that justice is God's force, socially expressed. I never forget a little Ukrainian lady who was about 4 feet tall coming up to me after one of our rallies, and this is before the end of the Soviet Union, and I had gone into a Ukrainian Orthodox church, and she pulled me down by my lapels like this, down to her level, so she could talk to me. And she looked me in the eye, and she said, "Wie will Wien?" And first I couldn't understand what she was saying, And so she pulled me down again. And she said, "We will win because it is God's force."